Alright, welcome back for another video. This video is entitled, Can You Stand and Breathe Properly? Alright, this is part one. It's going to be a two-part video. I have a lot to cover here. So, the first thing I want to talk about is breathing. Alright, breathing is so important to performance. It is really the way that we can tap into our unconscious autonomic nervous system and get a lot of the benefits, or most of the benefits, that I've been talking about through allostatic training. Alright, so breathing is the link between the somatic and autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system, or the somatic system, is how we control our muscles. We have conscious control over it. We can decide to curl our arm or to squat down. The autonomic nervous system, which we talked about before, of course, is our unconscious mind. Now, the diaphragm is an interesting muscle. I call it the first muscle, and I call breathing the first movement because these things are so important. All right? The diaphragm is actually a mix between smooth muscle and contractile muscle, like you would have in your muscle fibers to move your body. All right, so it's kind of a combination of both, and it's one of the few areas in the body, maybe the only area in the body, where it is under unconscious control when we're not thinking about it, but we can take conscious control over it. And that is our way in to the autonomic nervous system and increasing allostasis and allostatic training. All right, so proper breathing dictates all bodily function and performance. Okay, we're going to go into that into more depth, and you'll see why that is the case. Okay, when we exhale, our vagal tone goes up. For those of you who don't know, vagal tone is controlled by the vagus nerve, a nerve that runs from our spine and winds its way through the body. And when there's more vagal tone or more vagus nerve activity, there's a lot of benefits. Okay, one of them is reduced inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation goes down, and as we know from our previous videos, when inflammation goes down, we are lowering allostatic load. We are rising our allostatic capacity or resilience, and that means that we are going to be able to handle life stresses to a greater degree, and we're less likely to get disease, and our performance in all areas of life is going to increase. Okay? Heart rate variability, which is related to vagal tone, it's a hot topic right now. It's something that you can measure with different devices. Heart rate variability goes up. That's very good, because when heart rate variability goes up, that is an indicator of health. There's also been studies done on children where children with higher heart rate variability tend to have better economic success throughout life. That's huge, right? Everybody wants to make more money, wants to be more successful in life. If we can raise our heart rate variability, we're going to lower our stress, we're going to increase our performance. That means that we can make more money in life or be more successful at the things that we want to be successful at. All right, it allows parasympathetic nervous system activity. Your parasympathetic nervous system is part of your autonomic nervous system, your unconscious nervous system, and it allows you to rest and recover. And that's, of course, the opposite of the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for fight or flight or stress. All right? We want to be in a chronic state of parasympathetic dominance. That means we want our sympathetic nervous system to not be active all that much, and most of the time as we go through the day, we want our parasympathetic nervous system activated so that we feel good and we can recover. We can, we can recover, we can heal, we can grow, we can do the things that we need to do to be a successful and happy human being. All right, another thing that happens when we exhale is, I said it inhibits the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for fight or flight. We don't want to be in fight or flight. We don't want to be stressed out, of course. It raises CO2 levels in the blood. Now, most people think that CO2 is a waste product, and this is a topic that we will get into in more depth. CO2 is actually very important in the body. It acts as a vasodilator, which means it opens up blood vessels and it allows blood to flow to all the different parts of the body. When we do not have enough CO2 in the body, we have vasoconstriction, which means that we get poor blood flow. Sound like heart disease? Well, that's part of it, okay? So, vasodilation with increased CO2 levels, also increased nitric oxide levels. For the men out there, nitric oxide is partly responsible for getting a good erection. And for the women, it's for sexual arousal. So we all want more nitric oxide in our system, right? When we are stress-free, when we are happy, we can have a better sexual life. All right? So when we exhale, we naturally see increase during deep sleep. We see increase of exhalation during deep sleep. Think of somebody who is completely knocked out. They're not dreaming. They exhale for a very long time compared to when they're up and around, walking around and living their life. During deep meditation, this is what's responsible for some of these yogis and Buddhist meditators being able to reach these very deep and very pleasant states of meditation, and during relaxation. Now, inhalation is basically the exact opposite of exhalation. So we have a decrease in vagal tone. We have an increase in inflammation. We have a decrease in heart rate variability. We have more sympathetic or fight or flight nervous system activity. CO2 levels decrease, which means that we have vasoconstriction. We're not getting blood flow to all the different parts of the body. All right? Less nitric oxide. Who wants to have sex when they're stressed out, right? So we see increase in inhalation is associated with stress. Hard exercise, because of course hard exercises can be stressful. Fight or flight, and hyperventilation. Now think about this. When you hyperventilate, you're actually breathing in more oxygen, yet you can pass out. So what does that tell you? That tells you that even though you have more oxygen in your body, because you don't have vasoconstriction, because you don't have the CO2 and the nitric oxide, that oxygen is not getting to the different parts of your body, principally your brain, right? So when you exhale for a long time, you're getting a lot of oxygen to the brain. The brain works better, right? You can think better. You can think more clearly. This is important, all right? So long exhales calm the autonomic or unconscious nervous system, increase recovery, increase growth, increase healing, and reduce inflammation, which we know is going to reduce our allostatic load, increase our state of allostasis, our allostatic capacity, and make us more resilient in life, less problems with disease, more high performance. Okay? So a ratio we want to shoot for is 4 count for your inhalation and 8 count for your exhale. We, of course, cannot go through life without inhalation, right? It can't be all exhale. So we want to control the ratio. And 4 in and 8 out is a good ratio, all right? Now, of course, you can extend this. You can have 4 in, 16 out, 4 in, 32 out, so on and so forth. And when people get into these really deep states of meditation, that's what you start to see. You start to see extremely long exhalations. And that is associated with a lot of the benefit from meditation, some of the physiological benefits, but it's also associated with increased levels of pleasure, joy, contentment, all those great things that the religions and the mystics and the spiritualists go on and on about, okay? Make sure, this is the last note, make sure that you're breathing through your nose, not the mouth. Most people look around you are mouth breathers, right? Most people are in a state of chronic fight or flight. They do not have the autonomic and allostatic ability to maintain a state of parasympathetic dominance or rest and recovery. And so they are not going to perform at their best. They are not going to feel the best, and they are going to be more susceptible to disease and stress. We do not want that, right? So look at your breathing. Look at the person next to you. How are they breathing? Try it for a while. Take 10, 20 minutes and just focus on your breathing with a long exhale through your nose, not through your mouth, and see how you feel. Just doing that can increase your level of allostasis. And if you train it chronically, if you do this all the time, if you are on top of your breathing, you will notice that over time you feel better and better and better. All right. Next video, part 2, we will talk about standing. And as always, I reserve the right to be wrong.
Rosemary,